let's jump right into it with the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs, the first game of the weekend on 4:30 p.m. This is going to be maybe not the most exciting game of the week. Patrick Mahomes obviously coming in after a 1-week bye. They were the 1 seed here. A line in this game set at 8.5. Chiefs favored. Over-under set at 51.5. Jacksonville last week pulled off a stunning, incredible comeback after a 27-0 deficit in the first half. Trevor Lawrence looked completely lost in that first quarter, throwing interception after interception. Ultimately, he rallies this team, looks completely confident on that final drive in that final quarter where he's audibling at the line to jump into the end zone, things that weren't actually called by the head coach there. Just incredibly heady plays, impressive performance by Trevor Lawrence. I cannot say enough good things about him. At this point, I firmly believe that he has shown the kind of promise, the kind of heady and incredible sort of talent, and beyond talent, just the headiness of an NFL franchise guy, that the Jaguars should feel like they're in really, really good hands. And he celebrated the whole thing at a Waffle House afterwards. Nothing says AFC South football like Waffle House after a game. Trevor Lawrence is a true Jacksonville guy. Now they face a tall task, facing the Kansas City Chiefs team that has completely dominated the NFL for most of this year, despite not really having what we would call conventionally great pass catchers. Anyone who's been paying attention to this Chiefs team knows that for all the hype that they've gotten this year and for all the accolades they're going to receive, Patrick Mahomes is going to win another MVP this year. This offense has performed at an exceptionally high level despite not having those super uber talented pass catchers that I mentioned before. Despite all of that, the Chiefs haven't really taken care of business as a big favorite. And now they play a Jaguars team that is coming off a tale of two halves. One half in which they looked completely inept, looked like they couldn't really do much of anything. And then a second half where they looked like world beaters, where they were completely rolling. Even when the Chargers had the ball in that game, it just felt like the Jags were eager to get the ball back. It felt like the Jags were in control even before they ultimately took that lead in the final seconds. Rolling in a way that you could almost see the momentum on the sidelines, the way that the Chargers were responding and the way that the Jags were responding to every drive just felt completely different. And now they get to keep that momentum going. Think about this. Jaguars are coming off a major divisional victory in prime time over the Tennessee Titans 2 weeks ago. Then they keep that rolling into one of the all-time iconic playoff comebacks last week, 27-0 down. Now they play a Kansas City Chiefs team that's coming off a bye week. For all that we say about bye weeks in terms of resting your team, getting that necessary rest, especially for teams that may have injury issues, I think that there are certain circumstances, certain situations where having that time off cannot be a benefit to the team. And this feels like one of those situations. The Jaguars are rolling. I don't think the Jaguars are better than the Kansas City Chiefs, but the Kansas City Chiefs have been allowing teams to hang around with them all year. Think about this Houston Texans team that took this Chiefs team to overtime. They have not necessarily been dominating teams the way we thought they would. Obviously, they put some beatings down on teams throughout the year. Over the last month, the Kansas City Chiefs have not been the dominant force when facing inferior opponents that they have been historically. They're coming off a bye week playing a red-hot Jaguars team. They're giving up 8.5 points. You're crossing that 7, a key number here. I love the Jaguars here plus 8.5. My main play on this game is going to be the Jaguars plus 8.5. One thing I think is important to recontextualize after the first weekend of betting, the first weekend of either losing or winning, depending upon how your weekend went on the gambling front. For me, if you have a strong feel, a strong lean on a game, the way you can really cash in on that is by putting together correlated bets related to that result. So if you're wrong, obviously you're going to take a bath. But if you feel strongly going into a week that, let's say, the Jaguars are going to cover the 8.5, you can put together a number of same game parlays with player props, anytime touchdown scorers, things that you think may be correlated to that result. So for example, while my main play this week is going to be for Jacksonville to cover the 8.5, I have a number of prop plays in this Jaguars Chiefs game. So in thinking of these correlated plays, what I think is going to happen here is the Jaguars are going to cover that 8.5 point line. I don't think the Jaguars are going to win this game, though. Feels pretty safe to me that the Chiefs are going to win this game outright. So what I'm probably going to do here is put some combination of a number of player props that have, let's say, Noah Gray on the Chiefs scoring anytime touchdown, along with the Kansas City money line. If you put Noah Gray, backup tight end, a guy who caught a touchdown last time these two teams played, a guy who frequently is the guy who, in fantasy circles, everyone is yelling at because he's not Travis Kelce when he scores. He looks a little bit like Travis Kelce, and you can see why people get confused there. But if you were to bet Noah Gray and just the Kansas City money line, a seemingly pretty innocuous bet, anytime touchdown scorer, you'd get 7-1 odds, which don't sound crazy, but if you're already going to bet on the Kansas City money line, right, you want to bet on the money line, and you don't necessarily trust them to cover the 8.5. This is the way you can extract some value from that play. Now, you shouldn't probably put what you'd normally put. So let's say 1 or 2 units. Maybe put a half unit, put $5, $10, something that's going to be a little bit fun, so you're not going crazy with these long shot odds. But I love Noah Gray parlaying that with the Kansas City money line. That'll give you 7-1 odds. I also like Blake Bell parlayed with the Kansas City money line at 7-1 odds. I'm betting on one of those fake Travis Kelce tight ends scoring in this game, betting on people getting really excited that it's Kelce, ultimately for them to be disappointed. I want a part of that. I want in on the tight end fun. And frankly, in the playoffs, I love betting on tight end anytime touchdown scorers parlayed with who I think will win the game. I also love Kadarius Toney parlayed with the Kansas City money line. Behind the scenes action for me here, I have Noah Gray anytime touchdown scorer and Kadarius Toney and KC money line all parlayed. That's like an 8,000 to 1 play. It's like $10 to win 800. Not gonna probably cash, but I wanted you guys to know that's what I'm putting in. Long shot should be a little bit of fun here. Moving on, I told you guys I like the Jags here to cover the 8.5. In terms of not only playing that on the actual line, it's not going to be probably one of my bigger plays this week. I have a number of prop plays for this game. First of all, I love Christian Kirk with the Jaguars to cover the 8.5 point line. For that, you're going to get plus 356 on the line, over 3.5 to 1 odds. You don't have to go too crazy with that one, but probably wouldn't be a $10 play for me. It wouldn't be worth it at that number. But if I think the Jaguars are going to cover, I think it probably has something to do with Christian Kirk scoring. And Christian Kirk has been a true established wide receiver for this Jags team. Exactly what this team needed, despite what everyone made fun of them for in the offseason, or completely took great joy in shitting on this team, essentially. Now Christian Kirk does everything in his power to score for this team. He's been incredibly impressive for them. I also love Zay Jones, anytime touchdown scorer, Evan Ingram, anytime touchdown scorer. My big play from this game, though, outside of all these prop plays, is going to be the Jaguars plus 5.5.